Dalton Duck and the Big Sick, Helping Children Understand Social Distancing by John M. Cimbala. Once upon a time there was a happy little duck named Dalton. He lived in a yellow nest with Daddy Duck, Mommy Duck, little sister Deborah Duck, and their furry puppy dog Duchess Duck. Visitors often came to their nest. Dalton was happy when other ducks visited him and played with him. Dalton especially loved when Grandpa Duck and Grandma Duck would come to visit. Grandpa would draw pictures, build skyscrapers with blocks, and play outside with Dalton. They would throw pine cones into the creek and watch them float downstream, pretending they were pirate ships trying to escape from dragons. Dalton loved to pretend, especially with Grandpa because he was so silly. Grandpa would make a nest out of Duchess's fur for the rubber parrot to sit in, and then he would make funny parrot noises. Awk, awk, awk. Sometimes Uncle Jerry Duck would come to Dalton's nest and play with him too. They would push fire trucks on the floor around the table while making siren noises, play with toy cowboys and their horses, and put together puzzles. Uncle Jerry would play his guitar and bongos for Dalton and teach him funny songs. When Dalton and his family would visit Grandpa and Grandma Duck at their nest, Grandma would cook banana waffles, bake animal-shaped cookies, and make spiced applesauce for Dalton. They would go on a walk to the park where they would eat a picnic lunch, string cheese, apples, carrots, and cookies. Dalton would swing on the swing, and Grandpa would push him really high. Dalton would laugh and laugh. Sometimes in the evening they would go out for chocolate ice cream cones. What Dalton loved the most, however, was when someone would read books to him. Those days were so much fun. But one day everything changed. No other ducks came to their nest like before, and Dalton did not go anywhere. He didn't go to school, and they didn't go to church. Instead, he did some schoolwork on Mommy's computer, and they watched church on TV. Daddy, Mommy, Dalton, Deborah, and Duchess had to stay in their yard or in their nest all day, every day. Daddy wore a funny mask when he went to the grocery store. There were no more visits to Grandpa and Grandma's nest. They could only talk with each other on the phone or on the computer. Dalton liked seeing their faces on the computer, but it wasn't the same as being with them. At least he could see and laugh at Grandpa's funny puppets. Why, Dalton asked Mommy, why can't we go anywhere? Mommy answered, because of the big sick. What's the big sick? Well, said Mommy, it's a very bad sickness and many, many ducks are sick from it. Daddy added, and the big sick is very contagious. What is Dalton struggled to say that big word. Mommy explained, contagious means that if one duck has the big sick and coughs or sneezes near another duck, that duck could get the big sick too. Then the big sick could spread to the other duck nests, and then even more ducks would get sick. That's why we have to stay away from other ducks, so we don't get the big sick, and so other ducks don't get the big sick either, Daddy added. Dalton wanted Grandpa to create building block skyscrapers with him. He wanted Uncle Jerry to teach him more silly songs. He wanted to eat Grandma's spiced applesauce. He wanted to sit between Grandpa and Grandma on the couch so they could read books to him. When will the big sick be over? Dalton asked. I don't know, replied Mommy, but it will last for many sleeps. More than 15 sleeps? Dalton asked. 15 was about as big a number as Dalton could imagine. Yes, Dalton, said Daddy, the big sick is going to be around for much longer than 15 sleeps. And so the big sick went on and on, sleep after sleep. Dalton played with his toys and with little sister Deborah. He went outside sometimes and played in the yard, but he didn't pretend that pine cones were pirate ships. Pretending while alone wasn't as much fun as when Grandpa pretended with him. Daddy, Mommy, Dalton, and Deborah prayed every night that Jesus would protect their family from the big sick and that it would be over soon. Sometimes Dalton would get sad because he missed seeing his friends and his grandparents and Uncle Jerry. The big sick lasted so long that Daddy's beard got all thick and fuzzy. Deborah liked to pull on Daddy's beard. Then one day, Mommy and Daddy had huge smiles on their duck bills. Mommy said to Dalton, Dalton, guess what? Jesus answered our prayers. The big sick is over. Now we can be with other ducks again, and we don't have to stay at our own nest all the time. Dalton had gotten so used to being at home that he had almost forgotten what it was like to be with other ducks. He asked, "Are we allowed to go to visit Grandpa and Grandma at their nest?" "Yes," Daddy replied, "we can visit them." "Yay!" shouted Dalton, and he ran to the closet to get his coat. "Oh no, Dalton, we're not going there right now," Mommy chuckled, "but we will go to visit Grandpa and Grandma and Uncle Jerry in 3 more sleeps." Those 3 sleeps seemed like 15 sleeps to Dalton, but the day finally arrived when they all jumped into their duck van and drove to Grandpa and Grandma's nest. When they arrived, Grandma cooked banana waffles, baked animal-shaped cookies, and smashed apples to make spiced applesauce for Dalton, just like before. Grandpa drew pictures, built skyscrapers with blocks, and played outside with Dalton. Uncle Jerry came over and played his guitar and bongos. They sang silly songs, walked to the park, and ate a picnic lunch. String cheese, apples, carrots, and cookies. Grandpa pushed Dalton on the swing higher than ever before. Dalton laughed and laughed. In the evening, they even went out for chocolate ice cream cones, just like before. What Dalton loved the most, however, was when he sat on the couch between Grandpa and Grandma and they read books to him. On some days, they read more than 15 books. At bedtime, Dalton and his family prayed together, thanking Jesus for protecting them and for taking away the big sick. Many sleeps went by after the big sick ended, and Dalton was once again a very happy little duck, just like before. The end.